So guys, after this recent pardon by President Tinubu, Rufai Oseni has suggested more names for Tinubu that he should go ahead and also pardon all this name. This is actually coming after Nigerians have been raising alarm on the nature of cases and the nature of people that were granted pardon. Like you can see, this post here said, Tinubu makes history as the first president in the world to pardon over 70 drug criminals. So guys, this is one of the things, and Rufai Oseni has blasted the president for that, for the mere fact that he went ahead to pardon all those people with a lot of criminal record. This is actually bad. And now this is another reaction coming from somebody. This person said right here, after pardoning disgraced military officer who sold over 7,000 weapons to terrorists, Tinubu jet to Rome for counter-terrorism meeting. After he pardoned somebody who has been heading terrorism, he now went again to have a meeting on counter-terrorism. And this other person said here, pardon terrorists at home, attend counter-terrorism meeting outside Jagaban. Now wow. So guys, you can see a whole lot is going on after Tinubu granted this pardon. The kind of people he pardoned, the nature of their crime, or more. But what can we do? This is Tinubu government. The deal has been done. Now just the same talk, 9 people go dey talk. Arise Television has reacted to this, just like others. Rufai Oseni has really blasted the president of Nigeria. So guys, let me just allow you to take a look to see what he has to say for yourself. And please don't forget to drop your honest opinion concerning this matter on ground. And I really want to hear your wonderful thoughts. Again, help us to give this video a thumbs up and share this video. Thank you very much as you now take a look.
Development. The presidential pardon granted last week by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to 175 inmates and ex-convicts continues to generate public reaction. The clemency followed approval by the National Council of State, while among those pardoned by President Tinubu was Miriam Sanda, who had been sentenced to death in 2017 for killing her husband. The 37-year-old convict had spent 6 years and 8 months at Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center after being sentenced to death for culpable homicide. Her pardon sparked widespread criticism. In response, presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga said that Sanda's family pleaded for her release in the best interest of her 2 children, adding that the plea was also anchored on her good conduct in jail, her remorse, and her embracement of a new lifestyle, demonstrating her commitment to being a model prisoner. Sanda was arrested in November 2017 for stabbing her husband to death over alleged infidelity. She claimed her husband died after falling on a broken shisha pot during an argument. Rufai, we took this story. When we took this story back in, I believe, when she was sentenced, it was heartbreaking to hear the circumstances that surrounded her death. And I'll take some reactions because the story has generated quite a few on social media, X, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. And I'll take Obiora, who wrote, "You can call it mercy, or you can call it what it is. Another reminder of how uneven our system truly is. On paper, a pardon looks noble. A show of compassion, a second chance, the image of a just leader extending grace. But in a country where justice bends for the powerful, mercy stops feeling like principle and starts to look like privilege. Too many ordinary people are serving endless sentences for lesser crimes, forgotten in overcrowded prisons with no one speaking their names. They don't get presidential attention or public sympathy. They just fade into the system's silence. And then there's Nnamdi Kanu, 5 years in detention, dragged through endless court proceedings with no clear resolution and no political will to end it. The same government that can find compassion in one case somehow finds only punishment in his. That's not justice. That's selective morality." Rufai, we had Honorable Obia Agwocha on the morning show yesterday, and he, touched on this particular Twitter user's comment, the fact that, the only thing that Nnamdi Kanu is looking for is a release so that they could attend to his health. And, this sort of conversation of who gets pardon or not is, the sort of conversation I'd like us to have. I'll take another expose before I come to you. And this is from Awele, who wrote, was the family of the late Yamin Bello, that's her husband, consulted and in agreement before his killer, Miriam Sanda, is being granted pardon? That's the question. The reason for her pardon is vexatious. The late Yamin had his life cruelly cut short. No opportunity to see his children grow up, and Miriam is free. And that's one of the conversation, that Miriam is free so that she can attend to her children. Your thoughts on the story, Rufai?
I like to talk with empirical
As
fact.
always, yes.
Presidential pardon, offense committed, October 2025. Drugs, 29.2%. Unlawful mining, 24%. Homicide, 13.5%. Fraud and corruption, 12.3%. Hijacking, 5.3%. Firearms, 2.3%. Robbery and theft, 2.3%. Human trafficking, 1.8%. You see, at this rate, let's all go mad together. Because if we have now become a nation where we pardon criminals that our institutions fought hard to convict, then President Tinubu, in your next pardon, I have some names for you. You must pardon Lawrence Omajakwa Anini. You must pardon Oyenusi, the criminal. You must pardon Shekau. Look at the joke Nigeria has become. You pardon all these people that have perpetrated heinous crimes, then you now have to drag the name of Herbert Macaulay in it to make it look legitimate. You now have to drag some of our founding fathers in it to make it, after you pardon all the criminals. Look at Farouk Lawan. There was a sting operation where the state security agencies, they were the ones that baited him with the bribe, the marked notes. He pardoned him. So what nation do we have? What nation, I ask, do we have? But in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, people have been speaking. Some Igbo, top leaders came to Buhari last time to seek a peaceful resolution to the matter. No. Nnamdi Kanu is not being granted access to see doctors. This one, they're not even asking for pardon, access to see doctors. But all of a sudden, we are seeing all of this pardon flying around. So what lessons do we want for children in the generations yet unborn? A woman, we took the story here, planned the attack, yes, for good measure, also lacerated the husband's body. You say you talk to the woman's family before you pass. So the husband family, they have nothing. How would the husband family feel today? And that's the right question. See, the prerogative of mercy is expected that a president will be able to, dispense that prerogative reasonably. But as it is today, like somebody was saying today, I think they should be adding civil society so that we can circumvent the names brought forward. You see, our nation has just become a joke where anything happens. At this rate, we will start pardoning certificate forgers if they will not even give themselves pardon already. Right. So what kind of nation are we living in? What kind of generation do we want to give? What kind of country? How would they give themselves pardon? Tell me. How would they pardon themselves once they forge the certificates? No, people like Nnaji that their allegations of certificate forging. Yes. When they get to positions, they will pardon themselves now.
All right.
When they get high up there, they will pardon themselves. We are living in a country where, you are having all sorts of... let me read a newspaper article that was written many years ago for you, Oji, where somebody was saying that people of questionable characters will be the one ruling Nigeria over the years to come. See, New Breed newspaper, this was in 1990s something, where they were saying drug barons may determine the political future of Nigeria.
These are the
these are the issues in the country. This is not nice. And please, President Tinubu, with due respect, let's stop all of this. Let's make it make sense.
Yes. I mean, we have to live in a country where it appears that the federal government, presents itself as being accountable, fair, and just. What is good for the goose, is that how they say, is good for the gander. The gander. Well, we'll continue to follow up on this story. I'm sure there will be more names that'll come up from this executive presidential pardon. Social media has been awash with reactions after the Minister of Works, David Umahi, fired back at Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde over criticism of the controversial Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Makinde had questioned the true cost per kilometer of the highway during a stakeholders consultative and engagement meeting last Thursday, accusing Umahi of dancing around the cost. The minister, in response, while speaking during an inspection of the Kefi section of the Abuja-Marara by Kefi Road, refuted Makinde's comments, stating that the governor misunderstood the nuanced details of road cost evaluation, insisting the highway should not be reduced to political soundbites. He then pointedly referred to Makinde as an electrician. Let's take a look.
I heard, somebody showed me what my brother and friend, Governor Makinde of Oyo State said. I don't want to join issues with him, but I think he's an engineer. I think he's an electrician. Oh, sorry, they call it elect. Elect. This road construction, elect, no reach there. I'm a senior in governance, and I'm a senior in engineering practice. And so anything he doesn't understand, he should call me and ask. And I will not join issue because I have respect for our governors. I have respect for him as my friend and brother. But he should withdraw the word that I'm dancing around. I never dance around. And if he insists, he should come for debate. That is very important. He should come for debate, and we can this thing, So there is no ambiguity in cost per kilometer, but I'm teaching them that cost per kilometer could be divided into estimated cost, which has elements of variance, and then average cost, which is definitive. That is what it is.
That was the minister there. He maintained that calculating average costs for a project of the Lagos-Calabar Highway's magnitude was impossible, reminding Nigerians that he remains an authority in the field of engineering. Costs per kilometer. Rufai, you started that conversation. Cost per kilometer. I didn't even understand what he meant by elect. Have you heard that before? Elect. Let me take some
electrical
reaction.
Engineering.
That's what they call it.
Yeah,
elect.
elect.
All right, let's take some tweets. I mean, this story has been viral. This is from someone on X who wrote, "I love Engineer Dave Umahi. Engineering is a broad field of different expertise, no doubt. Engineer Seyi Makinde was only trying to spite him since they are both engineers. However, a civil construction engineer is different from an electrical engineer or a petroleum engineer." Then another X-user wrote, "But this is exactly why Nigeria can't move forward. Every disagreement turns into a CV context." Makinde raised a question on cost transparency. Umahi replied with credentials. "Sir, this isn't WAEC verification. It's public accountability. The road isn't a personal project. It's taxpayers' money. Being a civil engineer doesn't exempt you from scrutiny. Even pilots get questioned before takeoff." Let me come to you, our favorite Niger wife. I will leave Rufai out for a moment on this subject matter. But you saw the minister there, of course, reiterating the point that you cannot calculate a figure. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that given the duration of this conversation, it has stretched out longer than necessary, because at this point we would have wanted to start to see more numbers being crunched. I don't think it's fair for accountability, for the spirit of transparency, for us to continue to focus on the trivialities around the conversation, because if we are to just focus on the core of this conversation, there are questions that are being asked that need to be answered. It doesn't matter whether those questions are answered by an engineer or whether they are answered by a lecturer or a professor. At the end of the day, we are aware that he's a minister and he works with an entire ministry beneath him, and there are several people that do the work behind the scenes. So if he didn't have the numbers initially, by now we would have wanted to have seen some sort of a broader conversation around educating people, because the fact that, you know, he came on this platform and he did say, oh, you know, let me educate you, this is how it's supposed to be and so forth. It's important for us to educate the public. I, for one, am not an engineer, but I would love to know how it's calculated and how it translates into taxpayers' money. What is the budget? Where are we with that budget? You know, he's spoken about, yes, there's an estimated figure, and then of course there's the delivered figure. We understand all of that, but it's just about how we bring this information together and communicate it to the public without personalizing issues, without reducing these issues to, you know, what feels like personal battles. That's not the issue here. So I think for me, we just need to continue with the spirit of accountability and transparency. And this is the impunity, unfortunately, that continues to fester around us. You know, some people say that maybe what's holding us back is our beloved African culture. Because in African culture, you're not to question your elders, you're not to question people in positions of authority. There are a number of things that are considered a taboo. However, as much as we love and value our African culture, it's also important for us to now start having a conversation around where we are in a democracy, and the fact that democracy, the higher up you are in the food chain, the more of a servant you are to the people, and the more people have the right, authority, and access to you to get answers. You know, this back and forth, I think, is still highly unproductive. I understand that he has come out with some figures, but again, I don't think it's about holding press conferences and delivering figures. Let's see some beautiful graphic artwork.
What were the figures that you saw? I think I saw something about 4 billion per kilometer, something like that.
There were a lot of calculations. I know we were doing the calculations in studio, and there was 28 billion. There were a number of different figures. So I don't want to churn out figures that don't add up to, because you would have had to calculate them. But I think whatever it is, it's not something that we should be crunching with our calculators. He mentioned in the interview when he was here on the morning show that there is a website that they are unveiling that should also have information and so forth. That website should also provide information, up-to-date information, cost. This is what we have spent thus far on so many kilometers from this place to that place, XYZ. That is what we call transparency and accountability.